How many of you are connected in one way or the other with SGI? Okay, that's what I thought, sort of roughly half. The reason for saying that, this mic is wired, right? I can sort of walk around. Okay, I see this. All right, okay. There's a class of philosophers called peripatetic philosophers from Aristotle, those who sort of are given to wandering. I'm afraid I'm in that category. But the reason for asking about your possible affiliation with SGI is that I have, thanks to my former student and now colleague, Al Albergate, who is here somewhere. Where are you, Al? There you are at the back, who's been long associated with SGI. I've been familiar with SGI and for quite some time, and read Daisaku Akida's books, especially his wonderful book, For the Sake of Peace, 7 Pathways to Global Harmony. And I'm also a member of the Toda Institute, which is headed by Majid Taranian, who has emigrated from Hawaii now to Orange County. And so I say that in order to make a point that the teachings of Gandhi and the teachings of the Buddha, especially as mediated through Nichiren, will in fact be seen to be really quite similar to each other. In fact, the great Indian poet Tagore, who got the Nobel Prize for literature in 1918, in fact compared Gandhi to the new Buddha and said it had been a while in India since a message of illumination applied now to the social and political realm had come from India. And Tagore, with those words, was saluting Gandhi. So I think you'll find quite a lot of similarity. But the point of tracing this similarity between Buddha and Gandhi is to say that both of them are living traditions. I want to cite Gandhi as a person who didn't so much give us doctrines as principles, attitudes, if you want, that we have to live in our own lives and creatively apply. And I would argue that the same is true of the Buddha. Some of you are familiar with that rather harsh saying from Zen Buddhism, if you see the Buddha on the road today, kill him, where the point of that remark, harsh as it sounds, is that the Buddha's last words, in fact, were to his disciples, do not cling to me, work out your salvation for yourselves with diligence. And this is, by the way, the same sayings of Christ after his resurrection when he says to Mary Magdalene, Noli me tangere, do not cling to me, I have to rise. And so do you. And that's implied in Christ's message. So there are 2 or 3 contexts that I'd like to cite, referring to this sort of common space, if you want, between Soka Gakkai or Nichiren Buddhism and Gandhi. One is the book of Aikida that I mentioned, in which he cites, how many of you are familiar with that book? Just, okay, well, in which he cites, in a very graphic manner, the experience of his family in Japan, where 3 of his brothers were in fact killed in wartime duty. And he cites an instance where his mother had made some rice cakes to take to soldiers going to the front, and where that distribution of food led to a very heartwarming scene at the railway station as these soldiers were going off to battle, many of whom did not return, including, as I say, Kishi, the elder brother of Daisaku Akida. So from those visceral experiences, Akida developed a horror for war. And I think some of his tireless activities, he's 80 this year, some of his tireless activities around the world in peacemaking activities are in fact exemplary. The Nobel Prize for Peace was just awarded to someone from Finland. I have been one of those who has suggested Dr. Akida for a Nobel Prize in Peace. Stockholm always has its own designs, so it's difficult to know how these awards are made. But whether or not he gets the award, my own feeling is that if and when he is granted the award, he will be honoring the award, not the other way around. So that so it's been, as I mentioned to Al, one of my dreams to actually visit Akida, and I hope that might be possible in the near future. The other context that I want to mention is something that Danny mentioned in his introductory remarks, and that is the Parliament of the World's Religions. I'll say just a word or two about that. And in question period, perhaps you can ask me more. The Parliament of the World's Religions first started in 1893 in conjunction with the Chicago World Fair, and represented the very first meeting in America of the world religions. As you know from your religious history, America in 1893 was a strongly Protestant country, and any sort of contact beyond Christianity was hardly known. And it took the daring of, in fact, monks from the Ramakrishna mission to suggest to the conveners of the World's Fair that it might be a good occasion, given that trade and commerce and arts were coming together at this fair, to have a meeting of religions. And in fact, that took place. It was a very dramatic event, which in fact was, I think, the historical marker of the kind of pluralism that we today take for granted. I mean, you walk out here on the streets and you're going to see people from the Hare Krishnas, from some Buddhist organization, Christians, Jews. That multi-religiosity was, without question, sparked by the Parliament of the World's Religions in 1893. For reasons unknown, it took another 100 years before people could get up the courage to organize another parliament. And it was the modern parliament is relatively new. It started in 1993, exactly 100 years later, again in Chicago, out of which emerged a very important document, which I would urge you to look at, called the Declaration Towards a Global Ethic, which has now found its way all the way to the United Nations, and in fact is serving as the basis for deliberations towards a document called Religion and Human Rights. As you know, the UN Declaration of 1948 is a strongly secular document. People felt that bringing in religion might lead to more strife and contention than was worth it. But I think people today, 60 years later, recognizing the importance of religion in people's lives, are beginning to feel that there should be a more balanced document.